Hello dear students, this is Vishal sir from Ikra High School. Today we would be concluding chapter 10 from standard 9th NCERT syllabus. Our today's topic would be mass and weight. Let's read the lesson first to understand it better. Mass. We have learned in the previous chapter that the mass of an object is the measure of its inertia. We have also learned that greater the mass, greater is the inertia. It remains same whether the object is on earth, the moon or even in outer space. Thus, the mass of object is constant and does not change from place to place. Weight. We know that earth attracts every object with a certain force, and this force depends on mass and the acceleration due to gravity. The weight of an object is the force with which it is attracted towards the earth. We know that F is equal to ma. If for finding the force that is attracted by the earth, force is equal to m into g. The force of attraction of earth on any object is known as the weight of an object. It is denoted by W. Substituting the equation, we have W is equal to m into g. As the weight of the object is the force with which it is attracted towards the earth, the SI unit of weight is same as that of the force, that is Newton. The weight is the force acting vertically downward. It has both magnitude and direction. So dear students, there is a difference between mass and weight, as the weight cannot be measured in kilogram. It is measured in Newton. Here on the screen you can see the difference between the mass and weight. The quantity of matter in a body is called mass, while the weight is the force by which the earth attracts towards the center. Mass is scalar while weight is vector. Mass of the body is constant everywhere in the universe. Here you can see the three charts. As for a person, if its weight on earth would be 560 Newton, on moon it would be 90 Newton. While its mass remains constant, that is 56 kilogram, on earth also and on moon also. Mass of the moving body m is equal to F upon A, whereas the weight of the body is equal to m into g. Mass can be determined by an ordinary balance. Weight of the body is measured by a spring balance. SI unit of mass is kilogram, while the SI unit of weight is same as the force, that is Newton. Weight of an object on the moon. We have learned that the weight of an object on the earth is the force with which the earth attracts the object. In the same way, the weight of an object on the moon is the force with which moon attracts that object. The mass of the moon is less than that of the earth. Due to this, the moon exerts lesser force of attraction on object. Let the mass of an object be m. Let its weight on the moon be Wm. Let the mass of the moon be mm and its radius be rm. By applying the universal law of gravitation, the weight of the object on the moon will be Wm is equal to g mm into m upon rm square, where the weight of the same object on the earth would be We. The mass of the earth is m and its radius is r. As you can study table 10.1, the mass and radius of earth and moon are given respectively. We can apply all those units in the equation to find the weight of person on moon. Wm is equal to g 7.36 into 10 raised to 22 kilogram into m upon 1.74 into 10 raised to 6 meter square. On evaluating, you will get 2.431 into 10 raised to 10 g into m, whereas the weight on the earth would be 1.474 into 10 raised to 11 g into m. Now let's divide the equation. You will get the comparison between the weight of the moon and the weight of the earth. It would be approximately 1/6. That means the weight of any person on moon would be 1/6 its weight on earth. Now our next topic is thrust and pressure. Have you ever wondered why a camel can run in a desert easily? Why an army tank weighing more than 1,000 tons rests upon a continuous chain? Why a truck or a motor bus has much wider tires? Why cutting tools have sharp edges? In order to address this question and understand the phenomena involved, it helps to introduce the concept of the net force in a particular direction, thrust, and the force per unit area, pressure, acting on the object concerned. You have learned that weight is the force acting vertically downward. Here, the force is acting perpendicular to the surface. The force acting on the object perpendicular to the surface is called thrust. When you stand on a loose sand, the force, that is weight of your body, is acting an area equal to the area of your feet. When you lie down, the same force acts on an area equal to the contact area of the whole body, which is larger than the area of your feet. Thus, the effect of force on the same magnitude on different areas are different. In the above cases, thrust is the same, but effects are different. Therefore, effect of thrust depends on the area on which it acts. The effect of thrust on sand is larger while standing than while lying. The thrust on unit area is called pressure. Thus, pressure is equal to thrust upon area. Substituting the SI unit of thrust and area in equation 10.20, we get SI unit of pressure as Newton per meter square or Newton meter square. In honor of scientist Blaise Pascal, the SI unit of pressure is called Pascal, denoted as PA. Thus, dear children, the topic thrust and pressure can be explained something like this. The force applied on a surface in a direction perpendicular to the surface is called thrust. Here, you can see the force is applied downward, while the pressure is exerted perpendicular it with thumb. While pressure is the effect of thrust per unit area. Pressure is equal to thrust upon area. Its unit is Pascal. 1 Pascal is equal to 1 Newton per meter square. Also, pressure depends on two things. Number 1, force, that is thrust, and number 2, area. More area gives less pressure, while more force gives more pressure. This brings us to a conclusion that the same force produces less pressure if it acts on a large area, but you can produce more pressure if it acts on a small area. These are the examples of our explanation that school bags have wide straps so that the weight of the bag may fall over a large area of the shoulder of the student, producing less pressure on shoulder. Here is another example. The foundation of building and dam are laid on a larger area to produce less pressure. Pressure in fluids. All liquids and gases are fluids. They are not rigid like solid, but they are fluid and it can flow easily. A solid exerts pressure on a surface due to its weight. Similarly, fluids have weight and they also exert pressure on the base and the wall of the container in which they are enclosed. Pressure exerted in any confined mass of fluid is transmitted undiminished in all directions. The next topic is buoyancy. Now, what is buoyancy? Have you ever felt yourself a little lighter in water? Have you ever seen objects floating in water? Why does this happen? As you know that there is a gravitational pull of the earth. This gravitational pull brings all the substance towards the center of the earth. It makes all the substance to remain at a position on the earth. But objects does not feel more gravitation when they are in fluid substance, just like water. When you swim, you feel a little lighter. Some objects can easily float on the surface of the water. This shows the buoyancy effect of water. Buoyancy is the upward pressure exerted by water against the pressure exerted by earth, that is the gravitational force. So there are two pressures applied in any fluid. In water, you feel a little lighter. That is because an upward pressure is applied to your body by the fluid, that is the water. Thus, the upward force exerted by the water on the bottle is known as the upthrust or buoyant force. In fact, all objects experience a force of buoyancy when they are immersed in a fluid. The magnitude of this buoyancy force depends on the density of the fluid. Why objects float or sink when placed on the surface of the water? Have you ever observed, children, that a nail sinks easily in water while a large ship made up of the same metal can float on the water? The floating of an object or the immersing of an object depends on two parts. The first is the shape of the object. The nail experiences gravitational pull inside water, but it does not apply equal pressure in all directions inside the water. The gravitational pull is greater than the upward thrust observed by the nail, so it sinks. While the ship has a shape which exerts equal pressure in all the direction, and in return the water exerts pressure on the ship due to its shape, which keeps it floating. Also, there is another factor, density. The density of an object makes the object float or sink. If the density of the object is less than the density of the fluid, it will float. While if the density of the object is greater than the density of the fluid, it will sink. As you read in this part, the density of iron nail is more than the density of water. This means that the upward thrust of water on the nail is less than the weight of the nail, so it sinks. Therefore, object of density less than that of the liquid float on the liquid, while the object of greater density than that of the liquid sinks in the liquid. Now, a conclusion was made considering the buoyancy of object. It was observed by Archimedes. He was a great scientist. Archimedes' principle stated like this: when a body is immersed fully or partially in a fluid, it experiences an upward force that is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by it. This explains us the floating theory of any big ship. The ship, though it is made up of metal, it does not sink, just like the nail sinks in water. The nail, when put it in fluid like water, it sinks due to the lack of displacement of water. The shape of the nail does not displace lot of water around it. Instead, it experiences less buoyant force, while it experiences more gravitational force. But in the case of the ship, the shape of the ship keeps it floating, because the shape exerts more pressure on the water, which in return the water pushes the ship in the upward direction according to its shape. Archimedes' principle is used in designing ships and submarines. Lactometer, which I use to determine the purity of the sample of milk, and hydrometer, used for determining density of the liquid, are based on this principle. Relative density. As you know, the density of the substance is defined as mass of a unit volume. The unit of density is kilogram per meter cube. The density of a given substance under specific condition remains the same. Therefore, the density of the substance is one of the characteristic property. It is different for different substances. For example, the density of the gold is 19,300 kg per meter cube. That means 1 meter cube of gold would weigh near about 19,300 kg. It shows the purity of the gold also, while that of water is 1000 kg per meter cube. The density of the given sample of substance can help us to determine its purity. If, for example, if you take 1 meter cube of gold, but it weighs less than 19,300 kg or more than 19,300 kg, it shows the impurity of gold. Purest gold will only measure 19,300 kg if 1 meter cube of substance is taken. It is often convenient to express density of the substance in comparison with that of water. So now, while we compare the density of gold with density of water, we will obtain the relative density of the substance in the ratio of the density to that of water. Relative density is density of the substance upon density of water. Since the relative density is the ratio of similar quantity, it has no unit. Thank you.